Today's topic will be regulation of blood glucose levels. So contents, what are you supposed to learn here? You are supposed to learn what are the different hormones that are responsible for changes in blood glucose level. There are hyper and hypoglycemic hormones. You should know what's the normal blood glucose level throughout the day, different time period, how the blood glucose level is maintained, and what is the actual mechanism, how the blood glucose is maintained in a range. Okay, so that's what you're supposed to learn in this class. So we know glucose is the lowest form of carbohydrate. So whenever there is breakdown of larger carbohydrates that we take from our diet, breaks down to glucose. Okay, there is no more digestion than glucose. So larger molecules, they are broken down during digestion, and we get glucose. So glucose is the lowest form of carbohydrate. Now this is very important for our body to produce energy. Okay, so breakdown of glucose in various organ systems releases energy. So it's utilized for production of energy whenever our body requires it. Even when resting, our body requires a large amount of energy. So that is supplied by glucose. So even in different periods of the day, the glucose is required to produce energy. That is what I'm trying to say. So once digestion is complete, digested carbohydrates are absorbed. Okay. After absorption, glucose enters the portal circulation. From there, it is circulated throughout the body, various parts of the body through blood. So blood acts as our transport system for glucose from intestine. Once it is absorbed, it will get into the blood and it goes to various areas where either it will be utilized to produce energy or it will be stored so that our body can use energy in the time when it requires it. Okay. So balance has to be maintained, okay, to make sure that glucose remains within the range, within the normal range of blood glucose concentrations by different mechanisms. Why balance is important? Let me give you an example. When what happens is, if the blood glucose starts to increase very fast, okay, so let's say you have a very heavy lunch and at the end you had many sweets. So at that point, the blood glucose level starts to increase. Okay, increasing blood glucose level has an effect on two very important organ systems in our body. One is eye and there is kidney. So these are the two organ systems that get affected by high glucose concentration. So what happens to kidney is, glucose is something we call osmotically active substance. Okay, what is the meaning there? So whenever glucose moves from one compartment to another compartment, it requires a water molecule along with it. So when it moves from ECF to ICF, it will take one molecule of water along with it. So larger concentration of glucose in blood, make sure that water remains within the body. So it affects the renal system. Similarly, eye is also affecting because of a something called a sorbitol pathway, where sorbitol needs to be broken down. Otherwise, it leads to cataract. Okay. So more and more glucose means there will be more amount of sorbitol present. So the chances of developing cataract becomes very, very frequent. So it's very important that the body needs to maintain a balance between blood glucose level to ensure that there is no complication, long-term complication or short-term complications to different organ systems in the body. Okay, so that is what we are discussing. If unregulated, it can cause, the keyword here is can. We cannot guarantee it, but it can cause different diseases to the person. Okay. The second part of our topic will be hyperglycemic and hypoglycemic hormones. What are they and what are its roles? The hormones which are responsible for increasing blood glucose levels are called as hyperglycemic hormones. Similarly, the ones responsible for decreasing blood glucose levels are called as hypoglycemic hormones. If you see, there is an imbalance. On the left, there are many hyperglycemic hormones, and on the right, there is only one. Okay, the thing you have to note here is in our body, among all the organs, among all the endocrine systems that are present, only insulin has the capacity to decrease blood glucose levels, while all other steroid hormones and some of the peptide hormones, such as growth hormone, TSH, T3, T4, adrenaline, noradrenaline, testosterone, glucagon, etc., has the effect on glucose so that it increases the concentration. So whatever stored form of glucose is present in the body, these hormones will break it down from the storage and bring it to the blood. Okay. So what does insulin do then? Insulin has a ulta effect. Whenever there is increased glucose circulating in the body, it will store the glucose. Okay, in different organ system, skeletal muscles and liver, the two places where we can value our body stores glucose as glycogen. Okay, let us understand what is the normal blood glucose levels. So this is called as reference range. What is reference range? It is a range of lower concentration to higher concentration of any analyte, which is referred to see if that analyte is within the normal range or not. So to consider somebody to be considering diabetic, we have to focus, we have to refer this range. Okay. So here reference ranges will divide for glucose into state based on the time since a person has food. Okay. So how long the person had food. So if the person had food, let's say 6 to 7 hours or 8 hours before, then he will be in a state of fasting. Okay. If he had immediately, that means before 2 hours after having food, then it is postprandial state. Okay. So what is the two differences here? Fasting means 8 to 10 hours from having food. Postprandial state means 0 to 2 hours from having food. At this time period, there will be more glucose coming into the blood because of digestion of carbohydrate that we take through our diet. In fasting condition, what happens is it starts from around 2.5 hours. Okay, after 2.5 hours of having food, the fasting state will start. It will continue up to 10 hours. Okay, so we are using the reference range that was given by WHO in 2010. Okay, because it is clear, it is easier to understand. So we'll be using this. There are other reference ranges are also available, and we have to keep in mind that reference ranges are dedicated to their specific population of people. Okay, so it can change from one location to another location. The normal blood glucose level in India may be different from that in US. Okay, so that's why we are using a universal method of uh, universal guidelines, which was given by WHO in 2010. So it says, WHO guideline says, a condition from 8 to 10 hours of food intake, where the person will be in fasting state, his blood glucose level should range normally from 70 to 110 milligram per deciliter of blood. Okay, let me repeat again. In a fasting state, when since 8 to 10 hours of having food, a person's blood glucose should normally range from 70 to 110 milligram per dl. Similarly, in a condition where a person has food 2 hours, after 2 hours of food intake, in a postprandial state, the blood glucose level should range from 90 to 140 milligram per dl. Okay, so this is the reference ranges we follow to see if the person has normal blood glucose concentrations or not, fasting and postprandial state. Then there is one more state which is called as random period. Okay, random state. So why random state is important? Sometimes we will not be aware when the person had food. Okay, so it might be between this time from 2 hours to 8 hours, or the person fails to tell when he had food. So what we do is random state is a state when we collect the blood and test for blood glucose level at any point in the day. Okay, in 24 hours at any point when we collect, irrespective of food intake, irrespective if the patient is fasting or post in a state of post-fed or well-fed state. At any point when we collect the blood and when we uh, do the analysis, a normal blood glucose level should range from 70 to 140 milligram per ml. So we have three states and three concentrations. Fasting ranging from 70 to 110 milligram per year, postprandial ranging from 9 to 140 milligram per year, and a random blood glucose level which starts with fasting and ends with postprandial because it is considered uh, with respect to time when we collect the blood at any period, okay, no matter when the person had food. So these are the normal reference ranges. Next topic is we'll continue blood glucose regulation. So what is blood glucose regulation? It is a mechanism by which our body maintains the blood glucose level within the normal level. What is the normal level? We have seen in the last slide, between 70 to 140 milligram per day DL, okay, throughout the day in normal conditions. So what is this normal condition? The patient should be free of any diseases or any conditions that affect blood glucose levels. One of the diseases is diabetes. Okay, if the person is having diabetes mellitus, we have to make sure that the blood glucose level should be different. So what is blood glucose regulation? It's a mechanism by which our blood glucose levels are maintained within the normal range of 70 to 140 milligram per day throughout the day in normal conditions. So maintenance is brought about by two factors. So two important factors are the we will be focusing on. So that will balance this blood glucose level between 70 to 140 milligram. So the one factor is the rate of glucose entrance into the bloodstream. So the rate at which the glucose enters the blood and the rate at which it is removed from the bloodstream. It's very logical. So anything that should increase or decrease in blood, there should be two factors. One, how it enters and how fast it is removed from the blood. Okay. So rate of glucose entrance happens when we take carbohydrates in our diet, the digestion happens, absorption is happening, and further. But that is one condition. In another condition, stored form of glucose. Whenever our body requires energy, stored form of glucose will be broken down. The glycogen will be broken down into glucose, and that enters the bloodstream. Similarly, rate of removal will be when we try to understand this. Number one is when our body uses glucose for producing energy. Okay. So let's say you are very tired. You have seen this ad, glucose ads. The person gets very tired. He eats little bit of glucose and energy comes. Okay. So that's how it happens. Whenever our body requires energy, it is going to remove that glucose from the bloodstream and then produce energy. That is one. Let's say you had glucose and you don't require the energy. The body does not require the energy. So generally, what our body does is it stores that glucose in different areas so that we might use it at the later stage. Okay. So by these two mechanisms, by storage and utilizing, the glucose concentrations can be regulated, can be removed from the blood. So these are the two factors: rate at which glucose enters the blood and rate at which it is removed from the bloodstream. So that is very important. Maintenance of blood glucose level is brought about by a delicate balance between these two factors. Let's focus on rate of glucose entrance into the bloodstream. So we might say the blood glucose level gets affected in a positive way, that means increasing way directly from one or more of the following sources. Number one is absorption from the intestine. So this happens when we take glucose from the diet. It is digested, it is broken down, okay, and it is absorbed. When the absorption happens from intestinal cell, it directly goes into the circulation. By that logical method, we can say the blood glucose level starts to increase. So that is one way how blood glucose gains entry into the bloodstream. The second is breakdown of glycogen of liver. It's called as hepatic glycogenolysis. Okay, let's understand this word first. Hepatic stands for liver, something related to liver. Glycogenolysis. Okay, glycogen. So glycogeno stands for glycogen, which is the storage form of glucose, and lysis stands for breakdown of this glycogen. So one of the ways is breaking down of glycogen in liver. Okay? Whenever our body requires and blood glucose level starts to decrease, the first thing our body does, it starts to break down the glycogen that is stored in liver. So that also acts as one of the methods for gaining entry into the bloodstream. Please put in mute. Somebody is in me. Please put in mute. Yes. So well. Yeah. So three methods we have, or two methods we have seen. One is by absorption. Whenever we have food through our diet, glucose gets broken down. It is absorbed. Then it is released into the blood. Second thing is breakdown of glycogen of liver called hepatic glycogenolysis.
Not clear.
Sir, the voice clear.
Right. The third factor here, third way how blood glucose level can increase or glucose can gain entry into the blood is by a process called as gluconeogenesis. Okay, it is a process by which glucose is synthesized or produced from non-carbohydrate sources. Okay, that was the meaning. That is what it is meant by gluconeogenesis. Glucose stands for gluco, neo is new, and genesis is production. So glucose is produced from newer sources, the sources other than carbohydrates, and this process normally happens in liver, where glucose is produced from glucogenic amino acids, lactate and pyruvate, glycerol, and propionyl CoA. Okay, so there are almost, it covers up all the other macromolecules. We have proteins, we have products of breakdown of glucose itself, and
Your voice is again breaking, sir. Not clear.
Sir, voice